宇宙には異星人が存在するのだろうか。これは彼らの宇宙船なのか。このイギリス人は本当にこの荒れ地で彼らと会ったのか。この古いフィルムに映っているのは UFO なのか。空飛ぶ円盤か、何かの落とし物か。これはアーサー・C・クラークが収集した現代のミステリーである。彼は今スリランカに引退し、現世と来世の謎について研究している。
私は不本意ながら UFO の専門家です。空飛ぶ円盤と呼ばれる以前から約50年も興味を持ってきました。UFO はよく見ます。見てない人は不注意か、雲の多いところに住んでいるかです。私は6つも見ており、明確な意見も持っています。
1978年12月30日の夜中、この輸送機は新聞配達のためニュージーランドを離陸した。それは10日前に怪しい飛行物体が報告されたルートで、ウェリントンのレーダーもそれを確認している。今、テレビ班が同乗し、上空からレポートする。
Where the highest concentration of UFOs was sighted on the morning of December the 21st. We're at an altitude of 14,000 feet, and we're on exactly the same route taken by Captain Powell when he encountered those mysterious objects. It's a beautiful, clear night outside, and naturally we'll be looking out for anything unusual.
その時、UFO は出現していた。
We've just heard from Wellington radar that we've got an object about a mile behind us and it's following us. Let's hope they're friendly. It's really getting a bit frightening up here. There's a whole formation of unidentified flying objects behind us.
だが、彼らはその木と別の物体を近くで見つけた。
It's extremely bright. Much brighter than any of the other stars in the sky. Now it's just dimmed, it's gone. It's back again, it appears to be going behind cloud. I can't quite make out whether in fact it's going behind cloud or whether in fact the light is just dimming. No, it's such a bright light, it's lighting up the clouds around it. This is by far the best of the unidentified flying objects we've seen so far. According to our cameraman, David Crockett, who's been filming it for the past few moments, it appears to have a brightly lit bottom and a transparent sort of sphere on top, so it appears to be, well, like a flying saucer. Got another one. Right in front of us, very bright, giving off an orange flashing light. It looks like an aircraft beacon. Seems to be rolling and turning. Well, I don't know. I really don't know what's going on.
ブレナムに到着後、調査が始まった。金星だというものもいたが、撮影は金星が見える30分以上も前のことだ。物理学者のマカビー博士がフィルムを分析し、隕石や飛行機や鳥だという説を否定した。いくつかはレーダースクリーンで見られ、その一つはフィルム上に異常な光跡を残していた。初めの方はぼやけていたが、いくつかのコマにテレビ班の見たものが見えた。 下が輝き上が透明なやつだ。博士の結論は説明のつけられないものだということだった。UFO を捉える試みは今や大事業だ。テキサスの原野でレイ・スタンフォードは100万ドルの設備を使い星空計画を進める。レーザーは発信用で、ゴーグルはその受信用だ。目的は最高の技術を駆使して他の時代か他の世界からの地球訪問者を立証することだ。本部の中枢にはコンピューターがあり、UFO の動きを監視している。コンピューターは自動的に空を見るよう指示する。そして着陸があると緊急ボタンが押される。スタンフォードはこうやって証拠を増やし続けているのだ。その一例がテキサスで撮られたこのフィルムだ。
After extensive endeavor to explain it, neither the Air Force nor the National Investigation Committee on Aerial Phenomena could come up with any ordinary explanation. I don't know what it was, but it was tubular and bright, and small objects came and departed at high speed. We have motion picture films, magnetometer recordings, sound recordings, and a whole variety of data that begin to make us think that UFOs are technological, that they're really not something natural after all, but something not only technological, but highly sophisticated and capable of speeds and accelerations far beyond anything that we've ever dreamed of. In fact, we've really been surprised at how fast these things can move that we've tracked. And frankly, I would say that they simply don't originate on the Earth, at least any place on the Earth that I know of. If the Soviet Union has that kind of technology, God help the free world. And if the free world has it, God help the Soviets.
空飛ぶ円盤時代の先触れとなったのはアイダホの K. アーノルドだ。1947年6月24日、彼はワシントン州のこの飛行場から飛び立ち、カスケード山脈へ向かった。捜索救助隊員の彼の目的は墜落した空軍機を探すことだった。だがレーニア山に来た時、彼の人生を変え、世界中に妄想を引き起こす事件が起こった。
This point is when I would say approximately is where I had this terrific flash hit the air. My aircraft lit up the inside of my aircraft, and I assumed, of course, at the time in a split second that it was probably a P-51 fighter that had dove over my nose, and that it was the sun's reflecting upon his bright wing surfaces that caused it. However, before I gathered my wits together, I looked way off here to the north, and then when I saw where the flash came from, it was an echelon formation of very peculiar-looking aircraft, and they were rapidly approaching Mountaineer. And it was at about this point when I got here, I could see their tail surfaces, or the rear end of them, and the second craft from the rear had a more or less crescent-shaped look, and it had a hole in the center of it. And of course, I kept mulling in my mind. It's the damnedest looking airplane I ever saw.
彼はその奇妙な飛行物体の進む速度を測った。
I looked at my sweep second hand on my 24-hour clock, and they had covered this distance of approximately 50 miles in a minute and 42 seconds. It was placing their speed at approximately 1,700 miles an hour, 1,781 it came out at that distance, which was, of course, unheard of in 1947.
彼は探索をやめ戻った。その後、記者が押しかけ、その物体の飛び方を聞いた。
I says, well, I tell you, they flew like erratically like a saucer would if you skipped it across the water. And of course, then all of a sudden, the term flying disc and this type of thing, or crescent shaped or whatnot, was completely dropped, and everybody started seeing flying saucers, and they've been seeing them ever since.
写真も多い。オーストラリアの羊飼いが撮ったこの不思議な写真や、1950年にオレゴンで撮られたこの写真など、細部まで写っているものもあるが、不可解なのもある。ペルーのもそうだし、これはヨークシャーのプラット少年が撮ったものだ。写真は偽造できるし、見間違えることもある。この報告書の物体はほとんど金星に間違いない。目撃者はジミー・カーター、後のアメリカ大統領だ。時には何百人もが騙される。その良い例がロッキー山脈に現れた宇宙船だ。実はそれは巨大な隕石で80キロ上空の大気圏をかすめ宇宙へ飛び去ったものだった。
だが誰でも騙されるのです。私もそうで、実はこのドアの後ろに大好きな UFO があるんです。ある日の夕方、私は庭にいました。太陽は沈むところで、上空には宵の明星が輝いていました。あまり美しかったので、助手にご覧と言ったんです。彼が違う方を見て、金星だというので、違う、こっちだ。数分後、2つの星が輝いているのが分かりました。北の方の星は金星のように見えたが、不動でした。しばらくしてそれは気象風船だと分かりました。それは12キロほど上空で静止して銀色に輝き、まるで UFO に見えたんです。
南イングランドの測量技師 P. デイが UFO を撮ったというこのフィルムにはどんな説明がつくのだろうか。モンタナの野球場で撮られたこのぼやけた数コマは、空軍機が着陸するところだという人がいる。では、イギリステレビが撮ったこれはどうだろう。単にアメリカの空軍機が捨てた燃料なのかもしれない。UFO のフィルムで一番評判になったのは、カタリナ島でプロの写真家リー・ハンセンが撮ったものだ。
It was one of these clear days, and that's why I was up, because you could see to infinity, and it was an ideal day for aerial photography. And it appeared silver with a shadow underneath. It was always metallic, and it was moving at a rate of speed, I would say 150 miles an hour plus or minus, and appeared to be maybe 20 meters across.
我々はそれを分析することにした。パサデナにあるジェット機研究所で写真分析の権威 R. ネイサン博士がフィルムを操作し分類した。博士はまずよく撮れたコマを平均化することから始める。最初の一コマが磁気テープから入力されスクリーンに出る。
Now there's going to be a series of operations where I'm going to take the picture and start editing it to the next picture. The second photograph is being brought in. Its contrast is stretched. And now it is being added to the first photograph. This picture now represents the average of the two photographs. And we're beginning to see a smoothing out of the background sky and an emergence of various shapes in the object. The third photograph has been brought in. This picture shows the average of all of these three. And now you begin to see an appearance of a strong white image on the top. And there seems to be some holes or some kind of transparency underneath here. One takes a good look at this, and considering that the speed of the object, as reported by Lee Hansen, the photographer, is that this is moving at about 120 miles an hour, this begins to look like a small commercial airplane. And one can draw the comparison that you have the bright wing on the top, the windows, and the stabilizer, the rudder structure, and that's it. The Catalina film, I'm afraid, falls into the category of an identified flying airplane.
Well, I've...
私もこのフィルムを何度も見ましたが、小型民間機だと認めざるを得ません。他の説明は必要ないでしょう。もちろんこれは視界の問題もあり、何であるかは不確かです。宇宙船だとしても証明はできないのです。だから私は UFO 目撃よりも宇宙人との遭遇という話の方に興味をそそられるのです。
それはスタッフォードシャーのロステンバーグ夫人に起こった。
It was on an October day, the 21st of October in 1954. I was in the back kitchen of the house preparing myself, just having washed, and I heard this noise. Now, it was just like a giant cauldron of water being poured onto a red-hot fire, but if you can imagine, 1,000 times louder. And my first reaction was the children. I must get out, there's a plane crashing. So I slipped on my jumper, I ran out through the side entrance of the house towards the front garden to look for them coming across the fields. And to my amazement, there, suspended on the top of the roof of this old farm, was this object that I can only describe as a huge Mexican hat. It was that shape without the bubbles. It must have been 15 to 20 yards from where I stood. It covered the roof, so in circumference it must have been about 60 feet. It was enormous. The people in the spacecraft were just looking out. I could see them from the waist to the top of their heads. They were very beautiful people. They had long golden hair, like the old kings used to wear, turned under. They had a very vivid blue, like ski top affair on, and they just looked at us. Their eyes, the expression in their eyes were full of compassion. And then, all of a sudden, I felt the tension leaving me, and I felt movement, and I turned round to touch my children, and when I looked again, it was gone. Now, we stood there, and I said to the boys, "Did you see what I seen?" "Yes, Mummy, yes." I said, "Well, where is it? It's gone." And we looked, and my second son said, "There it is, Mum." And we watched it in the sky, just like a cotton reel, circle round the farm 3 times, and then it just shot straight up and away.
だが時には物理的証拠を持つ遭遇の報告もある。 1979年11月9日、ボブ・テイラーはエジンバラ郊外のこの森を歩いていた。角を曲がると地球のものとは思えない物体に出会った。
Thing with a big round dome, a very dark grey colour, and had a big flange going all the way around. I could see arms sticking out of this flange with what I took to be blades on the top.
これは後で画家に話して描かれた絵だ。
As I stood here, there was two balls came out, two balls, I think they'd be about 3 feet in diameter, with about 6 spikes. And they were rolling on these spikes. They came right up beside me, and I remember feeling a tug at that time. A very powerful smell, a choking sort of smell, and that was it.
彼はこの道をよろけて帰り、妻は驚いて彼を迎えた。
Terrible when he came in the door, and he just stood at the door, and I said, "Have you had an accident with your lorry?" And he said, "No, I've been attacked." And I said, "What with?" And he said, "A spaceship." And I said, "Oh, goodness me, there's no such a thing as a spaceship. I'm going to phone the doctor. You must have fell and hurt your head." He looked quite shocked, and he was drained. He was right white, and his face was dirty, and he had a red scar here. And his clothes were all dirty, and his trousers. And then he told me his trousers had been torn.
Police station Bargate.
警察が呼ばれ、現場に不可解な跡が発見された。
On examining the area, I found 2 trike marks in approximately 40 holes in the ground. These are the trike marks here, and these are the 40 holes. Since then, I've photographed the holes. This is a photograph of the hole here. This is the holes that measured approximately 3.5 inches. And this other photograph here, you can actually see the trade marks which correspond to the marks here. These markings and tracks were actually inside this area here that's fenced off. And there was definitely no other tracks leading to or from this area.
These are the trousers worn by Mr. Taylor. As you can see, they're of fairly heavy material. We have a tear on the left, just below the pocket, and one on the right trouser leg, again just below the pocket. These marks are consistent with the material having been pulled up while the trousers were being worn.
Well, I'm pretty certain that day that I saw a spaceship sitting here.
We must accept the story of Mr. Taylor. He is a very highly respected member of the community, a man of high integrity, and not one likely to invent such a story.
私はこの広大で歴史の古い宇宙には多くの高度な文明があるだろうと確信しています。現に我々も宇宙に飛び立とうとしているくらいですから。私が2001年で示唆したように、遠い昔からおそらく何度も宇宙人は来ていたと考えられます。その証拠を探さねばなりません。例えば、トランジスターラジオの化石のような物理的証拠。でも問題は今来ているかどうかです。今や世界中にレーダー網があり、アメリカやソ連、その他の国が宇宙のすべてを追っています。鉛筆ほどのものもそのレーダーに捉えられる時代です。この数十年間、訪問者たちがその巨大な網に引っかからずに地球にやってきて何人かの人に見られたなどと考えられますか？もし本当に宇宙人が来たなら、それは映画未知との遭遇のようにドラマチックで すぐにわかると思います。その時、あなたならどうしますか？宇宙人に対して、挑戦的にならず、礼儀正しくして長旅を覚悟するんですね。